know their doors. These are different doors, but they know their doors. So it's a way of us learning. Generalisation is a way of us learning effectively. But they can be negative generalisations, such as these.
Well, the first one's not generalisation, that's true.
Yeah. David Heath, Froome MP, his expenses were completely clean. So not all, perhaps the vast majority are, but not all of them. It's a generalisation. Every time I try, I fail. Maybe you do it 50% of the time, maybe 40% of the time you fail, but perhaps you succeed 60% of the time. It's a generalisation. He never calls me. He must have called you once or twice, otherwise you wouldn't know him. She always lets me down. I can't do anything right. Everyone hates me. She's never loved me. They're all generalisations. And people talk in this type of language, don't they? Mm. But it's not true. This is not the truth. This is a belief. And a belief is not a truth. So the reason for understanding deletion, distortion, and generalisation is that when someone's communicating to you, they are only giving what we call the surface structure of the information. So how do you think we can get a more deeper understanding of what they're trying to say?
Ask questions.
Brilliant. We ask questions. So when someone says all politicians are greedy, what question might you ask in order to clarify that belief that they have?
Which one in particular?
You could say which ones in particular. Or what you would do is you could give them a counter-example. Do you know any politicians that aren't greedy? In which case they might, oh yeah, there are actually a couple. So therefore that's completely blown out their belief that all politicians are greedy.
It's also the way you ask the question, if you ask an open question, then you get an answer back. If you ask another question, you don't get anything back.
So every time I try, I fail. What question could you ask?
Well, what have you tried?
What did you fail at? What did you succeed in?
Yeah. The better question would be, has there been anything where you've succeeded? So it's almost like trying to give them a counter example in order for them to break into this generalisation and stop it becoming a belief. So we can use very clever questions in order to do that. And that's a whole subject in itself. Is this making sense so far? Has anyone...
Yes, it does.
I'm building the picture up gradually because if I give it to you at once, it won't stick. So, let me bring it off a bit. This information is coming in. We are filtering it. Physiological filters, so only a certain amount of information. And at an unconscious level, we delete, distort, and generalise. So they are the filters that we have, the psychological filters. And these filters are based upon certain aspects. These aspects being our attitudes, our values, our identity, our beliefs, our experiences, our memories, and there's also aspects such as time and space, and another thing called meta-programs. So the filters are based on this. So when we talk about attitudes, remember we talked about the colour and edges. This is actually creating what we call the map of the world. Someone who has a lot of red energy will delete, distort and generalise differently to someone who's got a lot of green energy. So for those of you who were here last time, what would someone who had a preference for red energy tend to delete?
The soft parts. All the
Information they don't want to hear,
Exactly,
which is negative.
Yeah. Anything that's against their viewpoint, delete it. Emotions, delete it.
You are a nice person.
Not important. He still cares, but and what sort of things would someone who had a preference for green energy do?
They're more in sort of like in tune with feelings and that kind of thing.
But what would they delete?
Oh, deadlines, ideas,
Detail.
hard.
Things
Facts,
that
figures.
actually made them do something.
They might delete timescales and
Yeah.
when I need to do something. They might delete conflict or any sort of anything that was hard, or someone telling them to do something